Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome, not to a channel update, but to a general vlog. This is actually mostly an excuse for me to go ahead and try out my new vidcam. Got this about a week or so ago, but I've been just basically using it to, familiarizing myself with the various settings and using it to take some B-roll footage, like of dice and other things, just so I can have some stuff to splice into my videos. Gotta admit, it's not top of the line, but I think I did a pretty decent job in getting a camera that's of sufficient quality while not breaking my bank, so to speak. Second thing I'd like to do is thank all my patrons and direct contributors, those who have helped me get this channel through the past year. I've seen a decent uptick in what I've been making from those. And what it's allowed me to do is actually justify buying more equipment and buying more stuff for reviews, which is pretty much all that money goes right now. In fact, the more than the money that I get from there, but we could talk about that some other time. The important part is to say, hey, thank you very much. You're making this all possible. I'd also like to thank my longtime viewers who have been viewing this channel for a year or more. Those of you who tune in no matter what I make, or, at least just go ahead and share the videos and such, because you guys have been helping me grow. Slowly but steadily, which is a pace which I like, because that means there's no massive ups and downs I've got to worry about. What I'm gonna try and do for the next year is to try to focus on upping the quality of my content, which I know I've always said I've tried to do, and I've been doing it in like little increments. But what I'm going to try and do is retool my, as I said, I've been retooling my review stuff just to try to get something in there besides just looking at me all the time. Get some graphics of the books, maybe get some other stuff. And I've been kind of filling it in bit by bit, and until then. I have a bunch of major projects to do, but I thought, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take a break and do a little bit of a vlog. We're going to talk about a couple other things besides just the camera. And I thought, hey, if you guys like the informal vlog style, and I've done one of these before, and people seem to like it, but I may go ahead and do these a little bit more often because they don't take a whole lot of effort, and I can do them in addition to, other stuff. Just whenever I have something I want to talk about. It'll also help me by letting me talk about things that are not necessarily directly RPG related, but, just general fantasy stuff. Things that people who like RPGs might like as well, movies that have to do, that sort of thing. Just basically whatever's on my mind at the time. If you decide that you like it, let me know in the comments below. We'll go ahead and see what we can do in the future. Now, first of the major instances, aside from the, the thank yous that I wanted to start off with, was that I've been promising my patrons that they were going to get a view of my workspace and from like a little bit of a different angle, get a little bit of a tour as to how I do my videos and my general process and my general hardware that you guys have been assisting me either through direct contributions, patrons, or even just watching the ads to help me afford all this all these months and these couple of years, and basically show my workflow and my workstation. Now, those of you who are keen of eye may note that here is my bookcase that you always see behind me in my backdrop, at least since I moved to my my new setup a while back. This got my two bookcases here. I am going to expand this a little bit later on, shuffle some things around. I got a lot of books that actually don't fit in the bookcase anymore. This is actually really good because it helps to muffle some of the, or not muffle, it helps to kill some of the echo. You may be hearing a little bit of echo here because I'm doing it at a different angle. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to use the sound from my Blue Yeti, which is what I do most of my recordings on, rather than the in-camera mic, because I understand from what I've seen and from what I've heard so far of my tests, the in-camera mic on this camcorder sucks. However, I am intending to get an external mic to hook up to it that will hopefully give me at least as clear quality, or at least approaching the quality of my Blue Yeti. Now, I know it's not top of the line stuff, but hey, for the price that I spent on it and the price I spent on the Yeti, it gives good quality sound for what it is, and that's what's important to me right now, because I don't exactly have a lot of cash to throw at every little toy that I see. Instead, I'm just going to go ahead and maximize my return for my investment. Let's see. In terms of systems, now a couple of you may, more than a couple, I hope, may note that I had purchased a new computer about midway through this year, and it's not showing up on here, but my basic setup is that I've got a desk here, and I've got a couple monitors here. These monitors hooked to my main system, which I keep under the desk, and this is my main gaming computer. This is where I do all my gaming recording, or at least the majority of my gaming recording. I go ahead and record it, and then I move it to the system behind me, which is actually my old system. I'm just going to timeout right now. My old system, which was my old gaming system, but I actually bought that back in 2008. This one. So you can tell I kind of needed an upgrade. So I'm glad I got my upgrade. But now I move the footage over to this one, and then on that one I go ahead and do my editing, because it's still a decent editor. It still handles editing quite well, and I can edit two or three. In an ideal world, I can edit 3 or 4 videos at once, and then have it render overnight, which is my ideal workflow. I admit that I do not have my ideal workflow right now, but it's possible. It's possible, and that's what I will be doing. For other recording, as I said, I use a Blue Yeti for sound. I use, and I'm going to sweep back over here. This is my old webcam. It's just standard definition. I don't use it anymore, except I've still got it because I can go ahead and, in my intention, I can go ahead, in the future when I'm doing dice stuff, I can try and set it up on a dice tower to get a close-up view of the dice. Or I can use any number of other cameras. I've got another little. I don't use this camera much because it's got like a fisheye lens on it. But I can set that up for like close-ups of dice rolls and miniatures and such. I've got like a Logitech, I believe C910. I think they've got a C920 that's a little bit better, but the C910 does the job. It's an HD webcam, does the job. I can't complain. I've got one thing I haven't used a lot, but I do have just in case, and that is this. It's an Elgato Game Capture HD, and I'm going to use it for console capture, because I can actually capture from consoles. I don't do a lot of that yet, mostly just because I haven't had time. But I've got console gaming I can capture and stream. I may do that when I start doing like general streams. So, not that I have a lot of console stuff that's worth capturing. It's mostly old school stuff. But hey, if I get something that I can't get on the computer, I can do that. Those of you who may be sharp of the eye as well may have noticed I've got a laptop here. And what the laptop's for is I do most of my scripting on it. I paid like $200 for it like 3 years ago for another work project. It gets the job done on scripting. I can do word processing stuff on it. To tell the truth, it is just shy of being able to do actual recording on. Literally, the very next generation of hardware after that particular laptop is what you need for the stuff like OBS and such. So it's one of those things where I would like to do. I could possibly, if I was like out of pocket and off, elsewhere, I could do some recording on it. But unfortunately, I can't. And it's a shame too, because it'll run some of the old school games that I reviewed just fine. But for now, it does the job in terms of getting scripting done, allowing me to go ahead and write on the stuff, take notes when I'm watching stuff. Just so I can go ahead and get some sort of reviews together, some brainstorming ideas for reviews. I can go ahead and put it on there, no matter where I am, pretty much. But yeah, that's just generally my process: script on there, record on there, edit on there, and that will probably be me doing that for the foreseeable future. Of course, now I actually have a camera. I can go ahead and add some other additional footage to things, but that's something to look at going forward. So there you have it. You'll note that I don't have a lot of space back here. Those of you who are curious, I've got like about this much space to maneuver, so a lot of times when you're watching, not necessarily my Let's Plays, but my other stuff, and I'll be knocking stuff down and such, because I don't have a lot of desk space around here. I mean, I do have a lot of desk. It's like a big L-shaped desk, but it's so cluttered with like gear and notes and other things that it's just, you know, it's just easy to really knock things over. And I'm not a slender fellow here, so maneuvering back here, I'm working on the weight loss stuff, but even so, maneuvering back here, you know, I might need to go ahead and expand my workspace here. What I will be doing, though, is I'm going to be using what room I have in this room to try to set up some sort of set. Now, whether it be a physical set or just something I can use my green screen with or something, I don't know yet. It depends on how much time I have, but I'd like to set something up where I can go ahead and do my RPG News Roundup or something, and either do a proper set or like maybe a green screen set, like a virtual set or whatever, just so I can get some variation besides just doing the RPG News Roundup in front of the shelf, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's basically what I've got going forward. Hopefully it'll make for some more interesting and entertaining reviews. And I'm really looking forward to the next year. I'm going to hope, it seems that every year I at least double the amount of subscribers that I have, so I'm hoping next year I do the same, at least. I'm going to try for more, because otherwise, this whole channel is going to take forever to get to a decent number. I'm going to try for more, but my baseline goal is to just at least double the amount of subscribers that I get. And I understand subscribers aren't everything, but I've basically got to put my mind to making good videos that you might enjoy. I'm actually in the middle of recording my my next D&D retrospective stuff. I know that if you've been watching me, you've been hearing that for a while, but I just wanted to go ahead and take a break to go ahead and do this. Also, I wanted to go ahead and talk about something that's kind of been affecting my reviews, at least in terms of tabletop reviews, and something I kind of wanted to talk about. It's not going to be a full review because I'm going to talk a lot about a particular RPG system. But it's not a full review of that. I will do a full review of it later, but this is just basically letting you know what's going on with it. I've been mentioning a couple times, I've been mentioning two major issues that I have in terms of the major publisher type stuff, like Wizard of the Coast, Paizo, that sort of thing. And that is systems that are not internally consistent, like Paizo, I especially pinned that one on. And books that have a relatively high amount of filler, relatively low amount of usable data, or usable information. Whether it be fluff, some fluff is not filler. Fluff is will expand a setting. But I'm talking about things like extraneous tables that have nothing to do with the content, tables that would have been better suited for another book and are just put in there as an afterthought for page count. That's one of my pet peeves. You may have seen me kind of take Xanathar's Guide to Everything to task for that. And one of the things that's really been kicking on, and I would mention some of my Pathfinder reviews, but I've taken all but one of them down pretty much. I've done a couple Pathfinder reviews. We can talk about Pathfinder, I'm not talking about people who like Pathfinder, but diehard Pathfinder fans. There's a reason I don't review Pathfinder stuff anymore. But more to the point. One of the main reasons I've been kind of spoiled in terms of internal system consistency and books with a relatively high amount of useful data density or useful information density. I'm going to blame it on this system right here, Adventure Conquer King system. This was one. Interestingly enough, I threw a few bucks at the Kickstarter. It's one of the few projects I've kickstarted. I threw a few bucks at the Kickstarter way back when they were first coming out with the original book, and not enough to actually get the PDF, but enough to get early stuff. I mostly did it because one of the artists that contributes to this was an old high school friend of mine. So I thought, hey, why not? I'll throw a couple bucks at a project he's involved in. And I'm wishing now that I'd actually taken a look at it when it was released, because I basically just tossed. I never actually bothered to look at the thing, except for I looked at the not the book itself, but like the brief, just to see what it was, and I didn't really get into it. Yeah, this is one of those things that I kind of put on the back burner, and then it's been recommended to me over and over again by some of my viewers. So finally, about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago, I went ahead and picked up the first book. In fact, it's been almost 2 months now. I've been almost 2 months. I went ahead and picked up the first book, and I looked through it, and oh my God, this system covers so much. It is basically based on old school D&D, but it has pretty much everything you'd expect of something from, say, like the Rules Cyclopedia from the Beckme days, which has basically everything you need in it. Not only to run a dungeon crawling adventure, but to conquer your own, to go ahead and explore and conquer your own fiefdom. To engage in mass combat, in trading, and build up your stronghold and so forth. I could probably. I'm going to do a proper review on it. It's going to be in Shelf of Many Things. It's not going to be the next one. It's going to be quite far in, but I'm going to do a full review on it. But just a quick brief. This thing has such an internal consistency, and it's got several expansion books. And in fact, I haven't actually run the thing. I've read it thoroughly, and I really enjoyed it that much that I went ahead and picked up hard copies of the rest of the expansions for the thing. And you may say, "Oh, that may be overboard," and this may sound like I'm fanboying over it a little bit, but I'm going to say right now, it's not the best system for everything. But I will say that it sets a certain bar for internal system consistency and useful information density that spoiled me, that actually made me look at other things and say, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on them, because this one raises the bar so much that maybe it really doesn't need to meet this bar in order to be pretty good. I'll say this, of all the systems that this book has, and it's got several systems, it's got mass combat, it's got new classes, and actually class design and spell design, and then it's got like various layers. Most of this book is just maps of layers, but it's also got rule system for like layers per hex, and then like capturing monsters and training monsters and that sort of thing. And the thing about all of these systems, even though they're diverse, is that they feel like they're part of the same game. Now, before you say, "Oh, well, Pathfinder has all those systems," because I know somebody's going to say it. Yes, Pathfinder has a lot of systems, but they don't really feel like they're the same game. What they feel like is a subsystem that was designed by one team and thrown in a book to make some sales. And if you don't believe me, if you're a I don't care if you're a Pathfinder fan, but if you believe that Pathfinder kingdom building and downtime rules and then basic adventure rules are a seamless integration, then you're lying to yourself, because they're not. There is a huge drop-off point between the systems, and they're not really all that compatible. Sure, you can make them work together, but you're finagling this and you're tweaking that. The thing that impressed me about the Adventure Conquer King system rules is that they make for a seamless experience. All of the rules blend into one another. They all use the same basic economic tiers, so you're not juggling different economies, and there's not like this weird mix where a building that you produce in downtime is not equal to like a certain building, although they're mostly just districts and the kingdom building rules and so on and so forth. It all uses... Now, it abstracts some. It abstracts quite a bit. But it all uses a compatible economic scaling no matter what you do. So you don't have to juggle these things, and so that they feel like they're part of the same game. It goes beyond just that. It goes to the very roles themselves. They use very similar role systems and rule systems. You could probably... After reading all this stuff, you could probably develop your own rule systems and be fairly confident, because of how close all of these rule systems in Adventure Conqueror King system are to each other, that you could come up with another rule system for an unhandled thing, if you find one, and still be a fair confidence that it would be very similar to what's in here, because they all use a very similar difficulty system, a very similar role system. Sure, there's a couple tables that make some difference, but they're not. It doesn't feel like they're from entirely different games. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that it's really designed by like a very, very small amount of people. But that's not really an excuse, because if you have a large-scale publisher, they should have a team that's just there. In fact, 5th edition D&D is relatively good about this. They have a central design team that does nothing but make sure that new stuff feels like 5th edition D&D. Paizo, I thought, had that sort of thing, but a lot of their rule systems just feel willy-nilly, and they feel really different just for the point of being different. Venture Conqueror King system, all the rule systems, they're pretty much compatible. Your character can go from level 1 to, like, the max is level 14. That's another thing. It's a different design thing. I'll talk about that in the main review. But you can go from level 1 to 14 from being just a scroungy murder hobo to an actual king. That's why they call it a Venture Conqueror King system. And feel like you've been playing the same game all the way through, albeit at different tiers, but with interchangeable systems all the way through. So yeah, it spoiled me on that. I haven't seen many games that have similar setups. I've seen a few that cover the range of stuff, but a lot of times, a lot of the internal consistency, although it may be good, just doesn't reach this level. So basically, I've got to take a step back when I review other systems in the future and say, this is like top bar. But it can be a little bit below top bar and still get my recommended thing, I think. The other thing that this has spoiled me on is density of usable information. I can't name... these books tend to have a lot of tables, but having looked through all of the books for Adventure Conqueror King system, and yeah, I've got the hard copies that are mostly available in PDFs too, I can't name a lot of filler stuff. Yeah, sure, there's some full-page illustrations, artwork, but they're it isn't like a lot of the book. Sure, there's a lot of tables, but none of the tables really felt like shoehorned in or that they were just there to fill space. All of the tables feel like they were meant to be in that particular section, and they were very useful. Even like the fluff, and this had a lot of fluff in it. It's got a lot of fluff that basically describes the setting, but even a lot of the fluff feels a lot, not only like it's setting the mood, but it also feels like it's an example of the rules that were just introduced. And so I was actually very impressed with the sheer amount of information density. None of these books, even the one that's mostly like maps of layers, it all feels useful. None of this stuff feels like it's a very significant percentage of filler. Oh, don't get me wrong, I can still identify a couple things as filler in there. But it's not like, Xanathar's Guide, where I was looking in like 40 pages out of, a 200-something page book. Like that's a fair percentage of that book that was just stuff that just seemed extraneous. 20 pages, the classic 20 pages of names. But also like the encounter tables I mentioned that would have been better off back in the monster manual. And I actually feel kind of out of place now because they don't mention the stuff from like Volo's Guide and stuff. It just feels like filler in there. Where that one feels like it's got a lot of filler. Where these books, some of these aren't even that big, but they feel like they've got they're more densely packed with information. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to kind of scale back my expectations on that. Because, Adventure Conqueror King system kind of spoiled me a little bit on that. I will do a full review on it. As I've said, I sound like I'm fanboying over a little bit. It's a very good system. It's not the best system for everything. D&D, for instance, is better for your epic kind of storylines. Venture Conqueror King system is more for, like, your low fantasy, like, Conan. Well, not necessarily Conan stuff, because it does have some high fantasy stuff in it, but lower fantasy than D&D. You're developing from hero to true sovereign, that sort of thing. And I'll take a look at the specifics later. There's better systems that feel better for particular things. Like there's better dungeon crawling systems. There's better low fantasy systems. There's even better. I'm sure there's even better stronghold based systems. I don't have any. I don't think I own any, but I'm sure they're out there. So but just overall, it's a good one. But more importantly, it's spoiled me on information, usable information density, and system consistency all the way through. So that's where I'm coming from on that. You know what? I've rambled enough for that. Talked about my plans. Talked about that. I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Let me know if you like these random vlogs. I'll go ahead and maybe throw some more together. Talk about this. Talk about that. Expect some more D&D retrospective. I've said that so many times. Expect some more D&D retrospective stuff coming up pretty soon. I'm gonna finish out the year with some more of those look at the camera style vlogs like I've been doing on those up here with the graphic overlays for my D&D retrospective. But coming up next year, I'm gonna start really kind of trying to mix up and boost my production values for my reviews. It may mean that they take a little bit. It takes me a little bit to really start getting into it, but I've recognized the fact, and people keep commenting, "Oh, well, you need to go ahead and show more of the product that you're reviewing." I know that. I'm gonna really, really concentrate on doing that, and now I can do that with various, the various techniques that I've got. I'm able to do that now, and hopefully, you won't see another thing where I can't display a particular product or whatever. So that era is coming to a close. Anyway, that's it for now. This has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you see, remember to like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. As I said, I've got a Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. Until next time, take care and goodbye.